So you might be in the throes of confusion, you might have been out of a relationship for a long time and just dragging the baggage from relationship to relationship, or you might be just coming out of a relationship and there are so many questions that you're looking for answers, you're not understanding what's happened. If only and maybe. Hello, I'm Elizabeth Goddard from Revive Your Soul. I want to help you understand what's going on. I want to help you get answers to the questions and get clarity and closure. So the questions of if only and maybe was something that I went over and over at the end of a relationship, and I couldn't understand what was going on. And I was trying to, so the questions were if only. So if only I had said, and if only I hadn't said, or if only I'd done something, or if only I hadn't done something. And then there was the maybes. Maybe if I had done this, maybe if I'd done that, or hadn't. And we'd be in a different place. And this is all about this cycle of abuse, the idealisation, which is the love bombing stage, and then the devaluation and the discard. Now, in short relationships, you might not get the devaluation as much. You just might go straight into discard. It's equally as painful being put on a pedestal and being told how amazing you are, and these empty promises, and then just being ghosted, just being discarded, and not understanding what was going on. This cycle of abuse is like an addiction. You're trying to get back to the place where you were really happy, where you felt secure. You've been told on numerous occasions how amazing you are, and then suddenly they turn the situations around and they turn them against you. So the cycle is idealisation, devaluation and discard. And these questions are of if only you had done something or hadn't done something, or said something or hadn't said something, and you're replaying the scenarios, or it certainly was for me, replaying situations, conversations, things that had happened. And the reason for this is because you believe this is all your fault, because during that devaluation and during that discard stage, you're being told that this is all your fault, and this is part of the game. It's a game that you don't have the rules to. And when you start to understand or pick up that something's wrong, the rule book's changed, the goalposts are changed. So you're playing out these scenarios, wondering if you'd done something, if you hadn't done something, whether you'd be back at the beginning in that safe place, or where you felt secure when you've maybe got attention or being treated in a way that you've never experienced before. And that's where you're trying to get back to. And maybe if you had said something differently or done something differently, you might have got back to that. But it was always going to go round in this cycle, and it's like a bicycle wheel. And if you think of the wheel with all the spokes on there, the spokes are there are the tools that they use, like the gaslighting, the belittling, the coercion that takes place in these relationships. And each one of those is a spoke in their wheel, and they just take you round and round and round. And the best thing you can do, if you're able to, is jump off, and if you can, go no contact as soon as possible. And I know that's really hard, and I know you're just looking for the next hit of the drug, whether it's the dopamine hit or the oxytocin. I believe there's this oxytocin, which is a bonding hormone, plays a crucial part in these relationships, because you're putting your trust in someone. And they're also telling you during this period that you can't live without them. They're putting themselves in a place of power and control in your life, and very slowly they're trying to take over. And basically they are hollow inside. They're very insecure people, and they do this to to make sure that you're not going to leave them, because that's their biggest fear. And if you think about it in a way, and I hope at some point you will understand this and you will get it, is that actually they're mirroring some of the insecurities within you. And this, although it's painful, and although you're being tormented, and you're torturing yourself because it's your fault, you believe it's your fault, you've been told it's your fault, and you're taking on. But this is, it's about turning this around and looking inside and seeing where your wounds were, where you've got a wound that needs healing, because they're great mirrors for us. They're great mirrors to shine in and show you that maybe there's an abandonment wound there that you need to heal. And this is although it is painful, and I understand that pain, I've been through it a few times, there is something there that you can go and heal. And these relationships, nothing about this relationship was real. It was all a lie. It was all based on lies. There was no foundation, and that's why it's crumbled, because there weren't proper foundations put in place. And you're torturing yourself and possibly, beating yourself up emotionally. And the self-talk that I remember going through is a lie, because the person who told it to you was lying about everything else. So why would that be true? It's all about protection. They're protecting themselves, and they're making you really insecure, and that's painful. And I really hope at some point that you will get to this point of realization that it was all a lie, and you are an amazing person. And this is now about self-care, and this is now about getting really good boundaries, strong boundaries, understanding how they broke those boundaries down. And this is why I do this, because I know how painful it was. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying that there aren't elements of myself that weren't damaged or that didn't need healing. But the lies that are told to protect the other side is really cruel. And it's really, really cruel that they turn this around, because they aren't responsible enough, and they'll never take responsibility for anything that they've done. They're always going to play the victim. And this doesn't have to be romantic. It can be in families, it can be in the workplace, and I've experienced that. I've worked with a few people who've done that over the years as well. For me, it was sorting out my boundaries. It was about gaining personal power, because they've stripped you of everything, and that's what they do. And even financially, as well as spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally. Particularly the last time I felt completely alone, the loneliness was so painful, and that was because I believed everything. And I remember reading or watching something, and it said if the relationship ending is just so disproportionate to what happened, then you really, really bought into that relationship, the lies that you were told. And I thought, wow, yeah, I completely understand that. So self-care, I know we know this stuff, and we hear it so often, but this can be as simple as taking yourself out for a coffee or a cup of tea. And I said, financially, you might not even be in a place that you can even afford to do that. So little walks in nature, or meditation, finding and if you don't have to sit on the top of a hill or a mountain for days on end to find enlightenment. What we're doing is we're a bunch of chemicals. The chemicals are held within us, and it's a chemical reaction that's happening. So oxytocin is a hormone, the stress hormones that are raging around your body. You might be living in fear, and it might just be fear of how to live, how to cope, and how you're going to move on, how to live on your own, because you've been told that these people have put themselves in a place of power in your life, and and you don't remember or don't believe that you're good enough to take over and look after your life. If you can get some bath salts and have a bath and some herbal teas or tea or coffee, just taking yourself out for an ice cream. I mean, it's really hot and sunny here today, so you know, just taking a trip out, treating yourself as you would a child, and nurturing yourself as you would a friend. The way you talk to yourself, would you talk to a friend like that? I think that's a big one, you know, stepping back and looking and hearing that self-critic, that inner critic. There's an inner child that's been damaged. And so we need to nurture and grow. And one of the best things is doing the no contact, absolutely deleting every form of contact, any way that they've got of contacting you. And I even, you know, this for me, it happened a few years ago, and I even recently, well, so maybe 6 months ago, I was getting ready for aerial yoga, and I was just flicking through Facebook notifications, and I saw someone I'm not friends with who's in contact with my ex. I'd liked a photo, and I thought I had everything blocked down, so I had to go and block both of them, because I wasn't doing that. I wasn't going through their social media. In my head, you know, maybe it's my ego. I've got nothing to hide, and whatever it was that was going on. And I suddenly thought, I don't need that. I don't need that now. I don't need somebody looking at my page. There's nothing on there to see anyway. But block emails. You know, if you've got children, it's really hard, and I do really understand that, because I've again been through that situation myself years ago. And it's about finding a routine, you know, and if you can, maybe finding people that can initially do the handover, or you know, the visitation, or whatever it is, and keeping it really simple and calm. If you can't, it's that grey rock being as interesting, giving no personal information. And this is about reclaiming your power. This is about calming your body down. So even if you can't meditate for 3 days on the top of a mountain, you could do 3 minutes or 30 minutes, maybe, if you can carve that out into your day. And if you've got that mind chatter, try and find some meditations that talk you through each stage, so you're not left alone. So they talk you through each stage of the meditation, so you're following something, but you're calming the body down. It's particularly with the stress hormones that are going down. You're probably on hyper alert, possibly looking over your shoulder. And this, as I said, you could be years out of a relationship and still doing this. This is reducing the stress levels down. And just 3 minutes respite is giving yourself a break, even distracting yourself in some way. And when you hear yourself talking negatively, reframing it and saying something really positive, and just keep repeating, because one day you are going to wake up and they're not going to be the first thought, and then another day you're going to wake up and you can go through a day without even they come into your consciousness. So I'm sending you lots of love. I know how painful the what ifs and maybes, trying to get back. On average, this is on average, you know, people go back 7 to 8 times, because they want to believe, and they want to get back to that place where they felt secure, where they felt loved and nurtured in that relationship, and when there was a lot of trust. So I'm sending you lots and lots of love. You're beautiful, and I know you can do this.